The 50mm lens is an essential lens that basically everyone has to have into their kit. And there are always way too many options on the market. Luckily, Fujifilm have narrowed it down to only two 50mm equivalent lenses, the Fujifilm 35mm F2 and the Fujifilm 35mm 1.4. Today I have with me Olivia, one of my good friends, and we're going to take these two lenses out for a spin just to see what the difference is between the two. The 50mm lens, also known as the Nifty 50 lens, is a very common prime lens that a lot of people use just to get good depth of field and low light performance, usually at a relatively good cost. With Fujifilm, they've released two 35mm lenses, and you're probably asking, but Andrew, you just said 50mm. On Fujifilm, they have an APS-C size sensor, so what that means is there's a little crop factor that goes on top of your focal length. So all these 35mm are basically a 50mm equivalent in full frame format. So what I have on me right now is the Fujifilm 35mm 1.4, which was one of the first three prime lenses that they released alongside the X Pro one when they first introduced the Fujifilm X mount system. The 35mm 1.4 is made completely out of metal, and it's got two rings on it. It's got a clicky aperture ring and a wide focus ring and a pretty solid metal construction.
What I have with me today is the 35mm F2. It's a lot smaller than the 1.4. It's a metal construction and has two rings on it. So it has the aperture ring and also the focus ring. The focus ring on it is a lot smaller though, so it may not be suitable for those wanting to shoot video. The main difference between the 1.4 and the F2 is that the F2 is weather resistant.
So now I'm just going to do a quick feature comparison between the two lenses. So the most obvious difference between the two is their maximum apertures. The 35mm 1.4 can open up to 1.4, whereas the 35mm F2 can only open up to F2, which what that means is the 1.4 will give you a bit more control over depth of field as well as low light performance. Secondly, they're constructed a bit differently, so the 35mm 1.4 has one aspherical element, whereas the 35mm F2 is a bit more sophisticated with two aspherical elements as well as two extra low dispersion elements. What that means is both of these lenses are more than capable to fight against chromatic aberrations and distortions. And finally, they're both coated, but with slightly different coatings. The 35mm 1.4 uses a super EBC coating, whereas the 35mm F2 uses a nano GI coating, which basically just helps with any flaring or ghosting.
The most noticeable difference with the two lenses is the autofocus speed. So even with the 35mm 1.4 firmware update, we still believe that the F2 is the better option, just due to the accuracy and also the autofocus speed.
So today's sample images were shot on a Fujifilm X-T3 with the 35mm 1.4 and the 35mm F2. Between the two lenses, the 35mm 1.4 is definitely sharper in the center of the frame in comparison to the 35mm F2. When shooting both lenses at f2, the 35mm f2.WI performs a bit better in the corners, and as you stop down both lenses, the 35mm 1.4 pulls ahead throughout the frame. Distortion wise, the 35mm f2 has some apparent distortions, whereas the 1.4 has basically nothing. However, all of this can be corrected in camera or in post-processing. With bokeh, it is obvious that there is more separation in the 1.4, but comparing bokeh quality at f2 on both lenses, they're both pretty close in quality. Overall, both of these lenses are pretty good, but it is pretty clear that the 35mm 1.4 pulls ahead in image quality. In saying that, the more compact 35mm f2 fights pretty well, and the quality doesn't fall behind that much. So our final thoughts: which lens should you buy? The Fujifilm 35mm 1.4 or the Fujifilm 35mm f2?
So the 35mm f2 is fast and also really compact, so it makes it great for street photography and also travel.
In comparison, the 35mm 1.4 is for anyone who's looking for that little bit of extra depth of field, low light performance, and all-round image quality. In saying that, both lenses are absolutely fantastic and are great alternatives for those who are looking for a 50mm equivalent lens. Best of all as well, if you are looking to shoot with a lens that's out and about in really poor weather conditions, then really your only option is to go for the Fujifilm 35mm F2. If you have any questions on any of these lenses, pop them in the comments below. Make sure to follow us on our Facebook, Instagram and our written blog, which links to those are in our description below, so you stay up to date with what's going on in store and basically full written reviews of anything that goes through this channel. And if you are looking to buy either of these lenses, links to those will be in our description and in our pinned comment below. And as always, if you enjoyed our video, make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button so you don't miss out on our next video, as we upload every Tuesday and Thursday.